الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us coming here to learn the language of the Noble Quran. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us sadqa jariyah for our parents and make our children sadqa jariyah for us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to learn the language of the Noble Quran and then teach others. I welcome you, my respected sisters, to today's class. I hope everybody is doing well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you in knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Ameen. If you all are able to hear me loud and clear, please give me some feedback. And as you know, the host for giving the feedback is your answers. Please write here. So once we'll have some feedbacks, inshallah, we'll start the class. And while you are letting me know if the sound is clear or not, I have a message from admin to deliver it to you. Sisters, please pay attention. This is very serious. As you all know, that you have been requested to give thumbs up or any kind of reaction to WhatsApp messages. What has been noted is the sisters are not doing it. And this is causing trouble for us. Admins are very upset about it, and rightly so. They say when we ask sisters to support us with donations or anything, then very less number of people come forward. So we assume many other people are not able to pay. So we say it's fine. This is the money side. Now, when it comes to giving thumbs up or any kind of reaction on the WhatsApp, it doesn't require any money. What has happened recently is now WhatsApp has got this AI thing. They have an algorithm where they see there are X number of people. Let's say there are 400 people in the group, and if messages are constantly being sent, and only 10 or 20 people are giving feedback, it means others are inactive. They think perhaps those people are not interested. We have added them into the group, and we don't add anybody to the group. Students request us, and then we provide them the link. We don't add anybody manually. But WhatsApp doesn't know what is the working of Ulum Academy. So they think that perhaps they have added people onto the group and now they are spamming them with the messages. That is clearly not the case. You know that. Now, the problem is because the students on the group, they don't get engaged. They don't give any reaction. They don't give any thumbs up. Algorithm of the WhatsApp assumes those people are not interested and thus they are just getting unnecessary messages. And that creates problem for us, and that restricts how many number of messages we can send to you. As you have seen in past that admins were sending you message every step of the way. A quiz is being sent, you will get a separate message. Test is being sent, you will get a separate message. Zoom, you will get a separate message. Quizzes, you will get the separate message. Even the class is going to start after 2 hours or after 4 hours, you will get this message. You will keep so many messages. How these messages were beneficial for the students? For admins, they were, of course, it was a lot of work. But for the students, if you miss one message, because we all are busy, keep getting so many messages on WhatsApp. Let's say there's a quiz message came. You checked it and you thought, you know what, I'm gonna do it afterwards, and you forgot. And then maybe next day some message came for the test, and then you realize, oh, I have not attended my quiz as well, let me quickly do that. So what happened was that one message coming after the other message, and then another day another message, next day message for something else, that keeps you into the flow. You are connected to the course, you are attached to the course. Now what happens is, as you might have noticed, everything you are getting is jumbled up in one go. You get a message for the attendance, and the resource pack comes with that, and the quiz comes with that. In case you missed that message or you opened and you forgot this message, next message you will get it after 4 days. By that time, maybe attendance register is closed, maybe recording has been removed, and this, whose loss is that? It is your loss, sisters. So if you will not give the thumbs up, you will not give any reaction, this is the problem what's going to happen. Admins are considering to assign somebody to sit aside and just do one job. And what is that job? To check how many people, or rather which numbers are giving reactions to the group, thumbs up to the group, and which are not giving it. Because if you click the reactions where people are sending different type of reactions, you can clearly see their names and phone numbers. So it is very easy to find out that in the group who is inactive. And if, well, I'm trying to convince admins not to do that, and let's talk to students and let them understand they are of the view that if people are not interested in the course, they are just there and they are inactive because they want to think like the algorithm of WhatsApp, that if somebody is not giving reaction to the message after repeated request, then it means they are not interested. If they are not interested, then they should be removed from the course. Do you want to be removed from the course, sisters, just because you are not bothered to give one thumbs up? Please let me know in the chat window, sisters. Of course, nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to carry on. Admins have got huge responsibility, sisters. You understand? They don't want to ignore this fact, because what's going to happen is, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect Ulum Academy from any harm, all of us from any harm. Ameen. If situation continues like that and they see that WhatsApp is going to restrict our access for sending messages, they will sit one day and in wholesale they will remove all those students which are inactive or those which are not giving any reaction. Because the reaction, it's not only for the algorithm to see if students are active or not, it is for admins to see as well. And this is amazing. I was going through the results, the weekly test. I've seen around little less than 600 people are marking the question, which is getting them 10, 20 marks, that we are giving reactions three or four more than in 3 or 4 reactions in a week. But when we look at the groups, we don't find that. I have been given this information for your groups. So you have 3 groups for this particular time. Of course, now groups are divided region wise. So Group A has got 58 students. The maximum number of reactions seen on that group on the admin messages is 20. Group B2, which is for India, 111 students. How many have given thumbs up? 20. And Group C, which is for North America and Europe, how many have they given? 113 students, and they have given only 30 reactions. Sisters, does this cost money? Is anybody asking you to pay money for the thumbs up? And it's not for our benefit. That has been made very clear by admin throughout in your exam questionnaires and in your attendance, that this is for your benefit. So, my respected sisters, I would like to request you, please don't take this as light, because admins, as I told you, they want to see the active student. At the same time, they want to protect all those students who are active, who come to the class. They don't want them to miss out by just shutting the group. So what they will have to do in the end is, if people will not pay attention, they will have to remove those people who are inactive. And for them now to see the gauge of active and inactive is your thumbs up on the WhatsApp message. I hope it is clear. I apologize if whatever I said has come across tough or harsh. This is not my intention. I'm just a messenger. Please don't shoot me. I'm just trying to do the admin's job, because they think if the person who's delivering the lesson speaks, then the students have got better rapport and they understand better. And that's why you may have seen nowadays, when the groups are being changed, smaller, bigger, these teachers are the one who are announcing. On the side note, those of you who are attending other courses, you might have noticed this has been happening to other courses as well. Aqidah course, we had 5 or 6 groups at Ulum Academy. Number of students who were attending the classes were less. People who joined were many. So they just had to make a smaller group. So they just sent the message to the groups that whoever is attending, please join the new group, so they don't come across this problem with WhatsApp. I sincerely hope, sisters, that you will understand. Please support. This doesn't cost any money, and you must do that. Remember, you are not supporting yourself, you're supporting the whole organization, you're supporting your fellow students as well. And apart from that, I think there was some donation appeal. If you have donated something, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase your wealth, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you. Those who have not, I would suggest them, I would request them, try if you can. And those who cannot do, please make dua. This is the most precious thing. Barakallah fiqh. I think I have got enough responses from you that you are able to hear the class clearly. We'll start it soon, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So today, inshallah, we will be doing our lesson number 10, chapter 4, and I hope you all are prepared for that, and it's going to be very, very easy. So what we have studied in chapter 4 as a very quick recap was Ismul Fa'il and Ismul Maf'ul. So I hope everybody remembers that what's Ismul Fa'il and Ismul Maf'ul, it is the name of the doer and name of the object. And then we have also seen how Ismul Fa'il and Ismul Fi'il is made. So we take the third person masculine verb from the past tense and simply add alif after the fa kalima. In other words, alif after the second letter, and it will become ismul fa'il. So razaqa was our verb. We simply put alif between ra and zai, it became raziqun. And how do we make Ismul Maf'ul? That was also very simple. You simply add meme at the beginning of the word and add waw before the last letter. So from the same verb, razaqa, we made mazook. So we have done the text and we have done the exercises. So this is the new lesson, inshallah, exercise. We will start from here. It is about making Ismul Maf'ul and some examples of that and some practice of that. So masruqun, what's the meaning of masruqun? It means stolen. اسم يدل على ما وقعت عليه السرقة. Stolen is a noun that points to the act of stealing that has taken place. وهو مشتق من سرقة, and it is derived from سرقة. If you remember, as I just said to you earlier and before as well, that we will take third person form of the verb. The way we have learned in our lessons is that we are using the active form of the verb. Grammarians actually tells us that for to make ismul maf'ul, you go to the passive verb. So what is the passive? This is how we make passive, isn't it? The first letter of the madi verb get the dhamma and the second letter or second last letter gets the kasra. So it's surika. So this is a little bit different, but we don't want to go with this method, because if you do this, then you have to think of the passive verb first, and then you will be able to make the ismul maf'ul. Instead of that, for now, we will continue the way we were doing. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, we will not look at the passive verb to make ismul maf'ul. We will continually use the active verb to make ismul maf'ul, like we have made ismul fa'il, because as far as the construction is concerned, it will not make any difference. Yes, when you go to the meaning, of course, it makes a little different. It makes more sense. It doesn't change the meaning, but it makes more sense. Continuing forward, اسم المفعول اسم مسوغ من الفعل المبني للمجهول. As I said to you, so it is saying, and it is derived from suriqa, and it is the passive particle. So passive verb. The passive particle is a noun from the verb with passive voice to denote that the action has occurred upon. But we are not going into this detail. Just remember one thing. وهو على وزن مفعول من الفعل الثلاثي المجرد. So it is on the pattern of maf'ul, meaning you will add meme at the beginning of the verb and waw will come as a second last verb. So if you use kataba, you will make maktub as a small file. If you use kutiba, which is passive verb, still you will make the same ismul maf'ul. It will be same. It will be maktubun. So have a look at this here. Ismul fail. What is this? Ismul maf'ul. What is the ismul maf'ul from kataba? Maktubun. Meme in the beginning, waw in the second last. But here it is the proper way of making ismul maf'ul, and that is that you use a passive form of the verb. So what was the passive form of the verb? It was kutiba. From kutiba, we added meme in the beginning and we added waw before the last letter, and we put harakat according to the wazn of maf'ulun. The result will still be same. So what I'm trying to tell you is this. Please pay attention here. If you use verb kutiba, which is passive, and you use the pattern of making ismul maf'ul, the result will be maktubun. Instead of passive, if you use the active verb, which is kataba, still your result will be maktubun. So for now, just focus on how to make it instead of going into more details. But from the meaning point of view, as I was telling you earlier, it resembles more close to the passive verb. So what's the meaning of the passive verb? Kutiba is giving the meaning where the file is not there, you only know on which the action was done. So maktubun is much in alignment in the meaning. But once again, don't feel confused at this point. This was just the information. So if you read in the book or if you come across somewhere else, so you don't feel that you have not understood. So that's why I've explained to you. Ideally, Ismul maf'ul is made from a passive verb. But for now, we will continually make it from the active verb. Now, here is the question in the book, which was saying that extract from the lesson passive particles that appeared mentioned in it and mentioned with every one of the verb it has been derived as per the following example. So here we have Ismul Maf'ul, Masrurun. Now, if you see at the headline here, Al Mabniyu lil Majhuli, it is being taken from a passive verb, but we have just discussed that for now we will continue using it from the active verb. So you see the example of Maktubun is coming with Kutiba. But we will, if we even take Kataba and we put on the wazan of Maf'ulun, we will still have the same answer. So for the ease and understanding, we will continue doing it on the active verb instead of the passive verb. So here it is given futiha. Futiha is the majhul form. It's the passive form in Madi. What's the mudare? Yuftahu. But as I said to you earlier, and I'm saying over and over again, we will not take it from futiha. We will consider it is fataha. It'll become maftuhun. If the verb was kasara, ismul maful will be maksurun. If the verb was nasara, ismul maful will be mansurun. If the verb was mana'a, ismul maful will be mamnoon. I hope everybody is clear. Is everybody clear, sisters? If you are clear, please press 1. If you are not clear, please press 2. And while you are pressing 1 and 2, let me just tell you once again, I don't want you to get confused. Grammarians tells us that when you want to make ismul maf'ul, you look at the passive form of the verb. And as you see here under this al-madi, all the forms of the verb are passive. They are not active. It's not nasara, it's nusira, it's not kasara, it's kusira. And hence the book is showing ismul maf'ul as masrurun, maktubun, maftuhun, maksurun, mansurun, mamnu'un. The crux is you need ismul maf'ul. You want to understand how to make ismul maf'ul. Now you make ismul maf'ul from the active verb or you make from the passive verb. Your result is going to be the same. However, doing this way, you mentally have actually skipped one step. So if I would have given you a active verb and say make ismul maf'ul, if you go by this theory, then first in your mind you will change the active verb into the passive verb, and then you will bring mim in the beginning and waw as the second last letter to make ism maf'ul. But result will remain same if you don't bring the passive verb and you use the active verb and put mim in the beginning and waw in the second last letter on the pattern of maf'ulun, you will have the same result. I hope everybody's clear, sisters. Now, this is another example. Over here, make the passive participle from the following verb. Now you have given here all the passive verb. Now, in this scenario, now you know that you can make it from both things. So now its passive is given here. So you don't have to think for active. You can simply look at the passive qutila. All you have to do is, as given here at the top, you will add meme at the beginning and waw before the last letter on the pattern of maf'ulun. When I say pattern of, I mean on the spelling of, on the harakat of. So what will qutila become? Maqtulun. If it was not passive, it was qatala, still you will apply the same formula, meme in the beginning, waw with the second last letter, and your result would be maqtulun. But this is good for our understanding that now we know that there are two ways we can do that. On this particular page, since all the passive verbs are given, we will simply make made from the passive verb. It doesn't really make any difference to us because Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Wama Tawfiq illa billah, we now know what is the pattern of ism maf'ul and we can easily make it. So ulima, it was known. What is the ism maf'ul? Ma'lumun means known. Su'ila, he was asked. Mas'ulun, one who is asked. Shuriba, it was drunk. What will be the ism maf'ul? Mashrubun. Quriya, it was read. What will be ism maf'ul? Maqru'un. Wujida, it was found. What was the original for wujida? Inactive. Wajada. So whether you have wajada or wujida, ism maf'ul is going to be mawjudun. Kusira, it was broken. If it was active, kasara, it would have meant he broke it. How will you make ism maf'ul? Simply you will put meme before the first letter and waw before the second last letter, and the result will be maksurun, means broken. Wulida, how will you make ism maf'ul? Simply add waw before meme before the waw and another waw before dal. Mauludun, one who is born. Kuriha, how will you make ism maf'ul? Makruhun. Ukila, ma'kulun. Dufina, madfunun. Ghusila, maghsulun. Khuliqa, makhluqun. So khuliqa is the passive verb. If it was active, it would be khalaqa, and you will still use the same formula, meme in the beginning, waw before the waw before the last letter, it will become makhluqun. What is the ism file for that? Khaliqun. So you had khalaqa, you put alif, and you made it ism file. Fusila, how will you make ism maf'ul? Simply add meme before fa and waw before lam. Mafsulun, one who is separated. And then here, specify the active participles and the passive participles in the following sentences. Put one line under the first and two lines under the second. So in other words, for ismul fa'il, you will put one line, and ismul maf'ul, you will put two lines. قال المدير للطالبين. The principal said to the two students. So طالبين is your ism fa'il. من منكم الضارب ومن المضروب. Who among you is the hitter and the one who got hit? So ad-darib is from daraba. Da, dad, ra, and ba. You added alif, so it became darib. And madrub means the one who got hit. Once again, if you pick the word daraba, what did you do? You added meme before dad and waw before the last letter to become madrub. It's very, very simple. Alhamdulillah, I hope you all have understood the concept of ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. So inshallah, you will have no difficulty understanding that. Am I right, sister? Is there any difficulty? Is anyone confused here? Alhamdulillah. فر القاتل ونقل المقتول إلى المستشفى. So فر يفر is to escape, and qatil is the ismul fa'il here, coming from the word qatala. So qatala has got single line. You understand qatala is ism fa'il and al-maqtul is ism maf'ul. قبضنا على السارق. We arrested the thief. ولكننا لم نجد لديه المال المسروق. But we did not find the stolen wealth with him. So masruq, as we see, sin, ra, and qaf, those were your three root letters. You simply added meme as the first letter and waw as the second last letter, and it became masruq. So this is ism maf'ul, and as-sariq simply add by adding alif between fa kalima and ain kalima, you were able to get ism fa'il. أذان المسجد النبوي مسموع في جميع أحياء المدينة المنورة. The azan of the Prophet's masjid is heard in all areas of Medina Munawwara. مسموع, which verb was it? سمع يسمع. So from سمع you added meme in the beginning, waw before the last letter, it became مسموع. قلت للبقال, I said to the grocer, أيوجد لديك دجاج مذبوح? Is slaughtered chicken found with you, or do you have slaughtered chicken? Depending on how you are translating. So the verb was dhabaha. So you added meme before the first letter and waw before the second last letter. So the dhabaha turned into ismul maf'ul. Hadha talibu mafsulun. This student is dismissed or removed. Talibu is ismul fa'il, right? Can anybody tell me what was it originally before? Talaba. Ta, lam, and ba. You simply added alif after ta, it became talib. And then mafsul is from fasala. You added meme and waw, and it became mafsulun. And the seventh one is la ta'ata lil makhluqin fi ma'siyatil khaliq. There is no obedience to the creation in the disobedience of the creator. So khalaqa, you added alif, it became khaliq. And in the same khalaqa, you added meme as the first letter, waw as the second letter, it became makhluq. Hada baydun masluqun. This is a boiled egg. What was the word? Salaqa. So what did you do? You added meme before the sin and waw before the last letter qaf. So it became masluqun. And then number 9, عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما, from Abdullah bin Umar, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him both. قال, said, أخذ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم took or held my shoulder, فقال, and said, Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharibun. Be in this world as if you were a stranger. Aw abiru sabilin, or a passerby of a road. So abir, which word was that? Abara, means to cross. So abir, you simply added alif and it became ismul fa'il. Number 10. قال تعالى إن الله فالق الحب والنوى. The Exalted said, surely Allah the Almighty is the splitter of the grains and the fruit pits, that is, makes them sprout. So falaqa was our verb, and you added alif, it became ismul fa'il, faliq. So falaqa, the meaning was to split, but when you make ismul fa'il, the meaning will become splitter. I hope it is clear. And this part we will skip. Though, inshallah, today we will start doing the verbs which are mazid fihi. What is mazid fihi? We will discuss that and we will see that. But since we have not done until this point, so we'll not be able to do this exercise. I want to take those verbs very gently so that everybody, all of us, are able to understand full well instead of just showing you the whole chart and say, look, these are the forms and this is form 3 and form 4 and form 5. Is sometimes difficult to understand or remember just by knowing the names of the forms or the numbers of the form if you don't understand the concept. So we will do that, don't worry about it. Now this is number 9. What is this? This is about the ma. And this, so ma ana bi ghafilin, I'm not negligent. This is هذه ماء نافية. This is negative ma. وهي من أخوات ليس, and it is from the sisters of Laysa. تدخل على الجملة الإسمية. It enters onto the nominal sentence. فترفع الاسم وتنصب الخبر. You remember the role of Laysa. How does Laysa operate? This is how Laysa operates. Laysa is a verb, but we don't get fa'il and maf'ul over there. Rather, we get ism and khabar. And laysa, what it does is it makes the ism marfu and it makes the khabar mansoob. This ma does the same thing. وَتُسَمَّى ma al-hijaziyata. And it is known as ma al-hijaziyya. Nahu, for example, from the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, ما هذا بشرا. This is not a man. This ma is called ma al-hijaziyya. So what is this ma al-hijaziyya? What is al-hijaziyya? Can anybody tell me what is the name al-hijaziyya? It is here in the beginning, it says هذه ماء نافية. This is ماء نافية, but moving forward they're saying this is ماء الحجازية. Any thoughts, any ideas about it? Right. So there are few tribes in the land of Arabs which has got a good influence on Arabic language. So there are famous ones, Banu Tamim or Ahlul Hijaz. From there, this Al-Hijaziyya is coming. It's people of Hijaz. they have a different treatment. They are the ancient tribes. They have a different treatment when it comes to pronunciation of certain letters, or when it comes to certain huruf. They have some different grammatical interpretation or explanation for that. There is a famous debate between them. So basically, these two tribes from Arab, they have different viewpoint on different grammatical points and sometimes on different pronunciation, and they both are solid. They both have their own reasoning. So the most famous debate among them is for the ma. So this ma is simply ma'un nafiya. If Banu Tamim, the people of Tamim will be talking about it. If you read or look into the book which is following Banu Tamim, or if you go to the higher level books, for example, Alfiya, if you read Alfiya by Ibn Malik, you will see there are comparisons given that this tribe has got this particular viewpoint on this one, and the other one has got the other one. First of all, why it is important for us to know? It is important for us to know because maybe not for us at this level, but scholars do know all of these things, because when they are deriving the fatawas, when they are deriving the rulings, then they are aware that this particular word is used by this particular tribe in this way, but the other tribe has not used it that way. So somebody may say that this particular thing means this. Another person say, no, this thing means this. So they are able to reconcile between the both. Coming back to this ma. So this ma, if Banu Tamim, if you speak to Banu Tamim, or you read the book which is explaining the understanding of the Banu Tamim, they will simply treat this ma as ma of negation. It is simply a particle of negation. It does not have any grammatical effect on the word coming after that. What do I mean? What I mean is, for them, this ma will mean negation, no doubt about that. However, when you will see the words coming after ma, which are originally mubtada and khabar, they both will remain marfu. There will be no change on that. But if you look at the point of view of Ahlul Hijaz, then they treat this ma like a word laysa, which means is not, isn't it? Laysa also means negation. But what do is they say that this is like laysa, it should work like laysa. So when you look at the Arab or the explanation of this ma from the point of view of Al-Hijaz, then you will say this ana is basically ismu ma, and be ghafilin is the khabar forma. Are you getting what I'm saying? It's very simple. Let me just recap it once again. Rather, we will recap it in a minute. Well, let me just tell you something else and then we'll move. I told you about these two tribes, that they have some differing treatment for specific particles and some pronunciations. So, for example, Hijaz, Ahlul Hijaz, they are in favor of tasheel. Those who have done advanced courses of tajweed, you might have heard the word tasheel, or those who have actually studied different qira'at, you will know that some of the aimma, they would do tasheel. So when they will pronounce hamza, they will pronounce it in a very softer manner, or sometimes you will not even see there is any hamza, because hamza may be there, but their pronunciation will make it so simple. For example, the word be, the word for the well, but when Ahlul Hijaz, they will say bir. So they have a different pronunciation, wallahu alam. And when it comes to Banu Tamim, they favor and they pronounce Hamza in a very sharp and clear way. So their Hamza will have a jerk, whereas the Hijaz, Ahlul Hijaz, their Hamza will not have a jerk. It will have a tasheel, it will have a softened Hamza. You could say it will be either dropped or it will be a softened Hamza. So this was a little bit background about Ahlul Hijaz and Banu Tamim. Coming back to what we have seen here, what is written in this part is that this ma, if it is written in this way, so there are two how would you say, there are two ways of explaining. Either this ma could be ma'un nafiya, or this ma could be ma'ul hijaziya. If it is ma'un nafiya, then the next two words will be marfu. So they both will have ism and khabar. So this ism will be marfu and the khabar will be mansub. But if you take it as ma'un nafiya, then they are not going to play any grammatical role. Ma will remain for the negation, and the next two words, which are mubtada and khabar originally, they will remain marfu. We will look into this in a little bit detail. However, there's also a possibility, like it was with the laysa, that we have seen that the khabar of laysa can come with additional ba, az-zaida, or without it. So here, ma ana bi ghafilin. So this is coming with the harf jar ba. So this is becoming ghafilin. It is possible that you don't have this ba here, but then ghafil will become ghafilan. I hope you are getting that. And even if you are not getting in too much detail, it is fine. Just if you want to plainly understand, simply understand this ma, what we are studying is called ma'ul hijazi. And I gave you the detail for those of you who are interested in that. Hopefully, they must have benefited from that, inshallah. So, from the Quran, ma hadha basharan, we've seen that this is not a man. So, we see basharan, the last word here, basharan is mansub, because here it is maul hijaziya and basharan is the khabar. وَقَدْ يَقْتَرِنُ خَبَرُهَا بِالْبَاءِ الزَّائِدَةِ. As we just said, that it is possible that the khabar of this ma can have ba attached, just like laysa, because it is said from the sisters of laysa. So whatever laysa can have, this ma can have as well. So from here, another example from the noble Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. And Allah is not unaware of what you are all doing. And here, when you will see the examples, it will become more clearer. اقرأ المثال ثم دخل مع الحجازية على الجمل الآتية. Read the examples, then enter the مع الحجازية on the following sentences. So, أنت مجتهد. What kind of sentence is that, sisters? مبتدا and خبر. أنت is your مبتدا, which is مرفوع. مجتهد is the خبر, which is marfu. But if when you edit ma, this we are talking about ma ul hijaziyah, it became ma anta mujtahidan. Now what is the Arab? Ma is your ma ul hijaziyah, anta is your ismu ma, but this is marfu. However, you can't see marfu, simple reason, because it is a pronoun. If it was not a pronoun, then you would have seen the sign of marfu here. But look at this mujtahidan. It used to be mujtahidun. Khabar was marfu, but now it has become a khabar of ma, and it is mansub. Same sentence, it's possible that you bring ba with the khabar. Ma anta bi mujtahidin. Now, why this is majroor? It is majroor just because of this harf jar. What's the meaning? You are not hardworking. Originally, it was you are hardworking, but both of these sentences after coming of the ma, the transition became you are not hardworking. So you could say ma anta mujtahidan, or you may say ma anta bi mujtahidin. And then I am a reciter, ana qariyun. If you want to say I am not a reciter, I will say ma ana qari'an. You see, qari'an, it is this. Now this is ma, and then ana is ismu ma, and qari'an is the khabaru ma, which is always mansub. I'm talking about when it is ma'ul hijaziyah. Look at this one next sentence with the ba. Ma ana biqari'in. So once again, the transition remains same, but qari'an has become majroor just because of this letter ba. So this ma il ma'ul hijaziyah, ana is ismu ma, and how will you say this is khabaru ma? But khabaru ma is always mansub, but here it is majroor. So how will we say majroor lafzan mansubun mahallan? By the spelling it is majroor, but its place is mansub. There is another explanation to that, which is a detailed one, and you know that. So if you want to bring the exact era for that, then this place is busy. Ishtaghalul mahalli. We have seen that before when we have done ya mutakallim was added with the word, then what do we do? Why the next letter? Masalan, hadha kitabi. So hadha is mubtada, kitab is the khabar, ya is mudaf ilayh, and Because kitab is the khabar always should be marfu. Why not dhamma there? Why kasra? Is because of ishtighal al-mahal, because the place is busy, because ya is attached with that. Same situation is here. So there are two ways of saying it here. Either you describe the whole ishtighal thing, or you could simply say it is majrurun lafzan. In the spelling, it is majrur, mansubun mahallan, but it is sitting in the chair of nasb or mansub. I hope it is not too much, sisters. I was just trying to give you more explanation because I know many of you, brother, all of you are very much keen and interested and want to learn. So that's why I brought in this more discussion about Banu Tamim and Ahlul Hijaz. And nahnu tujjarun, we are merchants. When you will add ma, it'll become ma nahnu tujjaran because it is ma'ul hijaziyah. If you don't want to use this ma as ma'ul hijaziyah and you some maybe for some reason you say no, you know what, I want to use this ma as the Banu Tamim uses. What will you do? Ma nahnu tujjarun. So then you are not changing tujarun into tujaran because you are not treating as akhawatu laysa. If you treat this ma as from the sisters of laysa, it means you are treating this ma as ma'ul hijaziyah. And if it is ma'ul hijaziyah, then the khabar of this is going to be mansub. And if you add harf jarba with that, then it's simple. It'll become ma nahnu bi tujjarin. This is exactly the way we have done with the laysa. So there is nothing new except for the introduction of this ma, which is called ma'ul hijaziyah. Is everybody with me, sisters? Are you all getting that, or have I confused you? Please give me some feedback. It says one, if you understood, two, if you didn't understand. Okay, let me give you one more example. If you had a sentence, al-baytu jadidun, the house is new, how will you say with the laysa? If you have to use laysa with that, you will say laysa al-baytu jadidan. Or if you want to use harf jarba, you will say laysa al-baytu bi jadidin. The house is not new. Same way, you are, instead of laysa, now you are using ma here. So huwa qaribun, he is near. With the ma, you will say huwa qariban. Why? Because this you are treating this ma as ma'ul hijaziyah, and khabar of ma'ul hijaziyah is mansub. But if the khabar of ma'ul hijaziyah has got letter ba attached to that, then that khabar will become majroor in the spelling, but in the Arab it will remain mansub. I hope it is clear. Now here you have to give present tense for these past tense verbs. So kafala means to support or sponsor. What's the present tense? What's the mudari? Yakfulu. Ghafala yaghfulu. Falaqa yafluqu. Asifa, to be sorry. What's the mudari for that? Ya'safu. Nahara, it could mean to rebuke, or it could also mean flow. What's the mudari? Yanharu. Abara means to cross. Ya'buru is the mudari. Warada is to be mentioned. What is the mudari for that? Yaridu. Farra yafirru. Farra means to escape. Yafirru is he escaping or he will escape. It is a mudari. And then sabaqa, to precede. Sabaqa yasbiqu is the mudari. Salaqa, to cook in boiling water, in other words, to boil something. And how will be the mudari? Will be yasluqu. And then now here, number 11, you have to give the plurals for this. So yatimun. Now, you see, one of the reasons for this exercise perhaps is, wallahu alam, that you also realize that one word can have more than one plural. It's not necessary that there's only one plural for one word. So this is the example. Yatimun is one orphan. How do you say plural? Aitamun wa yatama. So both are possible. Quflun means lock. How will you say plural? Aqfalun. Jahatun means side. Jihatun is sides. Abidun, one worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't think you could say God-fearing it, but maybe in some sense you can say it. Abiduna, one plural is abiduna, or ibadun, or ubadun. So there are three different words. Now somebody may say, why there are three different words? Well, there could be more than one plural is possible, and sometimes those additional words are adding more meanings to that particular word as well. And this is something simple. I don't think so we should spend too much time in that. This is simple reading. So this is the hand, and these are the different parts of the hand. So the thumb is ibham, and then sobaba is the index finger, and the ring finger is binsaru, and the little finger is al khindiru. So you can read that. I really want to do something else today, so this I will leave for you to read it. Everything is written here. There's no difficulty, I hope, in reading that. Now, categories or types of verbs. Verbs are divided into many categories and many types depending on from which angle you're looking to. If you look from the time perspective, then you have madi, then you have mudare, then you have amr. Amr is basically a future tense, but in Arabic it's called amr because that's a command. If you look at the verbs, there are verbs which are tam and naqis. So today, like we've seen laysa or we see kana, compare them with other words like kataba or jalasa. So you see, there's a differentiation between that. So laysa, we say is incomplete. Why incomplete? Because if you normally what happens with the verbs is if you bring the fa'il, then you get the meaning, right? So kharaja zaidun. Kharaja is your verb. Zaidun is the doer. Zaid left. Nama tiflu. A child slept. You get the meaning. But if I say laysa zaidun, Zaid is not, you say what Zaid is not. So I have to tell you something else, isn't it? So when this situation happens, these verbs are called naqis. So we have verbs which are naqis, deficient. We have verbs which are complete. Then we have seen passive verbs and active verbs. Then we also have touched somewhere in some time in the past, which is called transitive and intransitive verbs. Verbs which requires mafulun bihi and verbs which do not require mafulun bihi. So the example I just gave you, for example, nama tiflu, the child slept. You don't need a mafulun bihi. He slept, that's it. So some verbs, they start in the doer himself and finish. Somebody cried, that's it. You know it. But if I say Zaid hit, then you are curious. Zaid hit who? So you can't just say Daraba Zaidun. You also have to bring Daraba Zaidun, Hamidun, Khalidun, anything. So this is transitive and intransitive type of verbs. And then we have seen verbs from the type of the kind of the letters they have. So some verbs are sound verbs, some verbs are weak verbs, which has got the weak letter are called weak, which has got all the sound letters are called sound verb. And then we've seen weak verbs also have their categories, naqis, ajwaf, mudaf. So these are all the type of the verb. So it depends on how you are looking at something. So for example, if we take another example, which we often take, we look at Sister Salma. What is the differentiation between Sister Salma and Brother Hamid? Well, Sister Salma is female, Brother Hamid is male. But then this is not the end. If we look at Sister Salma and Sister Shahnaz together, they both are common because they both are females, but it is possible one is married, one is not married. If you look at another two sisters, maybe you will find that one is a student and one is working. So everything can have a different areas of differentiation when you look at it. Today, what we are going to look into is the verbs by the count of the letters they have. You all know that the verbs can have either three root letters or four root letters. So when the verb has got three root letters, trilateral verbs, they are called thulathi. And when there are four root letters, they are called rubai. Does can I just be confident that you all know that? Please give me one, sisters. If type one, if you know what is thulathi and what is rubai. We don't have to go back into this detail. This is something we've done so many times, right? So alhamdulillah, I hope all of you are understanding. So I'm still waiting for one and two, however. Alhamdulillah. Now here's I'm going to use one Arabic term. Hopefully you will be all right with that. The verbs which has got, and stick to now 3 letters. Forget about the 4 letters. That was just for us to jog our memories that, yeah, a verb can consist of 3 root letters or 4 root letters. Now just come back to 3 root letters. So if the verb has got 3 root letters and there is no additional letter attached to that, it is called mujarrad. What is called mujarrad? Mujarrad means khali. There is nothing in that. However, if you attach any letter to that, what's going to happen? Then it will be, the name will be changed. It will be called mazidun fihi or mazid fihi. So as we just said, the Arabic verbs are formed from 3 letters or 4 letters. When the extra letters are added to the root letter of the verb, it is called mazidun fihi, or you could say mazid fihi, just to make it easy. Now, this mazid fihi is possible. It is thulathi mazid fihi or rubai mazid fihi. I don't want to confuse you, but if it was a 3 letter verb and you added some letters to that, why? We will see that why would you need to add the letters? Then it will be called Thulasi Mazid Fihi. If it was a 4 letter verb and you added some extra letter, it will be called Rubai Mazid Fihi. But come back. We don't want to go into the detail of Thulathi and Rubai. We just want to know one thing. So whatever I told you just a few seconds ago, if you were able to absorb that, brilliant. If you were not, no problem about it. I'm going to now explain all of this in a different way without any complication. So let's look at this one. Arabic verbs are formed from 3 root letters or 4 root letters. We all know that. When an extra letter is added to the root letters of the verb, it is called mazid fihi. This is simple. Can you remember that? Simple line. If an extra letter is added to the root letters of the verb, the name is mazid fihi. In English, it's called derived forms. But why go to English terminology if we didn't know the word derived forms of the verb before? Instead of paying attention to this and trying to memorize these 5 words, just memorize mazid fi. Mazid means additional. We know that. Alhamdulillah, we are studying Arabic since long time. Mazid means additional. Fihi are 2 words. Fi means in, and this ha means it. So it means additional in it or extra in it. Is everybody with me, sisters? You all are clear? When an extra letter or letters are added to the original root letters of the verb, it is called mazid fihi. Why do we need mazid fihi? What are the advantages of that? So the key points are these extra letters mostly do not remove the root meaning. So the actual meaning will be there. However, they will add something to the meaning or change its shade. Another important thing, this is not grammar. This is not nahwa. It is pure surf. Because it is given in the book, we have to deal with that as well. However, if somebody asks you that this topic of derived verbs or mazid fihi, does it belong to the subject of grammar or does it belong to the subject of morphology? You will tell them it belongs to the subject of morphology, which is surf. Grammar is called nahwa. So with these key points in mind, have a look at these 2 examples, Nasara and Qatala. Nasara means to help. So Nasara means to help. But if you add alif, it'll become to support. If you will add 3 extra letters, alif, sin, and ta, it will become asking for help. So you see, the base meaning was help. It is there. But by adding the letters, it is just changing the flavor. It is just changing the meanings, a little bit shade of the meaning. If you look at another example, qatala means to kill. So qatala is meaning to kill. Qattala, what did you do here? You added another letter here. So qaf, ta, and lam were 3 letters. You brought another ta here. So your ain kalima became double. What the meaning became? To massacre, to kill badly, to butcher, right? So it added the shade. So the meaning of killing is there, but now intensity has been added. Qatala. This is another form of the verb. What did you do here? You added extra alif here. When you added extra alif, qatala. Now it is this kind of a same meaning, but qatala is used when 2 people are fighting or more people are fighting, because to fight you need to have two people, right? One person cannot fight. One person cannot be called is fighting. To fight, somebody needs to be, someone else needs to be there. So this type of verb always will show the meaning of shiraka, partnership. There are more than one people doing it. The crux of this slide is to tell you, just inform you, explain it to you, that when you add an extra letter, then it changes the meaning sometimes, and sometimes it adds a different shade to the meaning. So your root letters remain same. You just keep changing the letter according to already established patterns we have in Arabic language. Is everybody clear with me, sisters? Are you all able to understand? This is something we have said it over and over again, that when the verb is getting an extra letter, it just adds some meaning, or it changes the shade of the meaning. Is everybody with me? Yeah, for example, I'll give you one example. Kharaja means he left. But if I add Hamza before that, is akhraja means somebody else made somebody else leave. So maybe teacher kicked the student out. Then it will be akhraj al-mudarrisu at-taliba. Teacher kicked him out. So he made him leave. Kharaj al-talibu, student left himself. Nobody asked him to go. He just went. He just exited. You see, so this is how it changes the meaning. I don't want to confuse you. I don't want to give you too much work. I just want you to focus on, we have two verbs today, additionally. So I'll explain that. Now, how do we know what is, when you look at this, for example, if you add alif after the second letter, or you add alif, sin, and ta before the verb, or you make ain kalima, bring another ain kalima, how will you actually know? How will you remember that? So there are different ways of remembering that. And what are those ways? These are the numbers of the verb. So these can be called as verb types or form. So different people, different books explain it in a different way. There is another very good way of understanding that as well. Inshallah, we'll come to that particular point as well. So first of all, the verb which we have seen so far throughout our course was verb type 1 or form 1, where we had root letters only. Fa'ala, on the pattern of fa'ala. Daraba, dhahaba, kataba, kharaja. If somebody asks you what is the verb type or what is the number of the form, if you have to see the table of the form, which number will it come? You will say this is the verb type 1. If you add ain kalima, additional ain kalima to the verb. So it was fa'ala, but you added another ain. So what did you do? You added one extra letter by doubling the middle letter. That is called verb type 2, or you could say it is form 2. And if you added alif after the fa kalima, you added one extra letter, which is alif. What is this? What is the code for that? So basically this verb type 1 or form 1 or form 2 or form 3, these are just kind of the code words. So what is the code word for this kind of verb where you have added alif? It is called form 3. But please don't mix this with Ismul Fa'il. Why? Because Ismul Fa'il was the noun. So when you add alif, then it became Ismul Fa'il. How do you know that? Here you have a fatha. Over there you had fa'ilun. So you see, your verb was fa'ala, you added alif and you made fa'ilun, the doer. Here you are saying fa'ala, you are not saying fa'ilun. So harakat are different. You see how big a difference fatha, dhamma, kasara make? If you simply bring ain here, this fatha make it into kasra in the on ain, and change the fatha of the lam into tanween, fa'ilun. That's total different meaning. But this is a verb form 3. And underneath is given the tasrif. So what is the tasrif? What is the conjugation, the simple conjugation for fa'ala? Let's put kataba on the pattern of fa'ala. Kataba, yaktubu, uktub, kitabatu. Right? And this is fa'ala. On this verb. This is the tasrif. Fa'ala yufa'ilu fa'il taf'ilan. And for the word fa'al, it is fa'ala yufa'ilu fa'ilun mufa'alatan. Now let me ask you a question. Is it difficult or easy? Difficult. Yeah, isn't it? Those who are saying easy, subhanAllah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you in knowledge. You must have studied a lot. These are difficult to remember, like fa'ala, 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 everything with fa, ain, and lam. So there is an easy way of doing it. How to do that? We'll inshallah learn that. Now, this is the explanation of what I told you. This is so form one, we all understand what is form one. This is the regular verbs we have done so many times. Zahaba, kataba. We don't really need to know anything new about them. Then we said there's a form two, and form two, the second letter gets double. Here, if you have a look at it, you will understand. What happened? Originally it was fa'ala, fu'ila, or fa'ila. You see, in Madi, it is possible in what we have studied before. It could be sami'a. When we say sami'a, mim is our ain kalima, it has got a kasara. If we say kataba, then ta is our ain kalima, and that goes a fatha. So it is showing here a karuma, ra has got a dhamma. So by putting this ain with three harakat, basically they are showing that this is the normal or the verb form one type of the madi. These are the verbs, for example. So nazala, darasa, qatala, kasara, sabaha. These are the examples. Now, if this verb you have nazala and you want to make it thulathi mazid, means you want to add another letter to it and want to make it mazidun fihi. How will you do that? So this fa was your original, ain was your original, lam was your original. You will bring another ain kalima here and it will become fa'ala. It was fa'ala, now it becomes fa'ala. Remember, this ain is not a letter, it means ain kalima. That means whatever letter was here, you will double it. Now come to a little bit detail. So these are the verbs. Now these verbs, if you transform these verbs from Thulathi al-Mujarrad, we have discussed already what is Thulathi and Rubai. If you want to ignore the word Thulathi, ignore it. But remember Mujarrad. Mujarrad means Khali, means these are original root letters. There's nothing new to that. So Nazara is our original letter. Darasa, Qatala, we know that. What will happen if we will add extra ain kalima? So nazala, we added one more ain kalima. Our ain kalima was zai, so we made here two zai. Darasa, ra was our ain kalima. We added another ra, it became darrasa. Qatala, ta, which was our ain kalima, we added one more ain kalima, it became qattala. Kasara, sin was our ain kalima or our second root letter. We added another second root letter or another ain kalima, it became kastara. Sabaha is ba was our original ain kalima. Because now we are making the form, we are changing to form two, we added one more ba, it becomes sabbaha. Now, look how the meaning changed. Nazala means he came down. Nazzala means he sent down. So you see the difference? Somebody himself is coming down is Nazala. But if he's sending somebody down, it's Nazzala. And if you remember a while ago, I gave you the example of Kharaja. And I said to you, you add Hamza to it and it will mean somebody else kicked them out. Somebody else made them exit. You may say that the example you gave is fitting here as well. Nazala means someone himself is doing it. Nazzala means someone else is doing it for somebody else. But your example for Kharaja was also like that. Yes, it is possible. It is possible that you can have a Hamza coming before the verb and it will give you the same meaning. I don't want to confuse you with the transitive and intransitive, but those are the things. I don't want to just go in there. Understand, some actions are done by yourself and some actions you make others to do, right? You sit on the chair is one thing and you make somebody else sit in the chair is another. You yourself leaving the room is one thing, and if you send your child outside the room, that's another thing. So this is the difference. So while we are talking about that, how will it work? So we added ain kalima and we change the meaning. So can we just pick any verb and make the ain kalima, bring another ain kalima, and we will get this meaning? No. This is not for us to decide. This is, you will see in the dictionary, you will study more, inshallah, and you will see some verbs can have mazid fihi for more than one type. Some verbs can have only one type of mazid fihi. What I'm saying is, some verbs can have augmented form or the derived form by adding ain kalima, or by adding alif, or by adding alif, sin, and ta before that. But you cannot just have this with every verb. Not every. So basically, in other words, it's not your choice that you just pick the word and then you put tashdid on that, basically bring another ain kalima, and you say, now I've changed the meaning. No, it's not going to work like that. But this is something deeper. We will deal with that, inshallah, in future lessons. Now, coming back to the easy part. This was, again, a lot of side information. What's the easy part? Let's go back here. The easy part is, Arabic verbs are formed from 3-letter root words or 4 letters, right? When an extra letter is added to a root letter of the verb, it is called mazid fi. Just remember that. And now straight come here. So once there's one way of adding extra letter is that you bring in another ain kalima. And because these two are the same identical letters, you add tashdid. So there's an assimilation. So nazala. Now, I'm not going into any detail. I'm just making it, inshallah, very simple. Just look at this slide and don't think about anything else if you did not understand or you had difficulty in understanding. For a minute, consider that lesson is beginning from here about the derived verb. So I'm telling you, Arabic verbs can have 3 root letters or can have 4 root letters. If you add an extra root letter, it is called mazid fihi. And this is the first example of extra root letter. How? We are simply adding an ain kalima. So our original word was fa'ala, fa, ain, and lam. We brought in another letter and it became fa'ala. Practically, how it differs, our original verb was nazala, which means he came down. We added one more zair, which is an ain kalima, nazzala. The meaning changed to he sent down. Darasa means he learned. We brought in another ra. Even another ra is coming here, it will become mazid fi. It will become a verb which has got additional letter added to that. Look how the meaning changed. Darasa means he learned. Darasa means he taught. Totally opposite meanings. But the baseline is same, something to do with study. Qatala, he killed. When you added one more ta, another ain kalima, and made qatala, intensity added, he massacred. Kasara, he broke. When you added another scene here, once again the intensity increased, he smashed. Sabaha, he swam. Now here the meaning is changing. Sabaha, he swam. But when you add another ba, another ain kalima, the meaning became he praised or glorified. And because we are doing the easy part now, and we have done that, and I hope you understood that, these are some examples for you to understand even better. So this is form 2. Every time you will add another ain kalima after the fa kalima on a 3-letter verb, this is called form 2. So if you want to remember it, you can remember it like form 2. But there is another way of remembering it, as I was telling you, by remembering verb type 1, verb type 2, verb type 4, or form 1, form 2, form 3 is a difficult job. I'll tell you something very easy, inshallah. Have a look at this. So this is your normal tasrif of fa'ala. I've also said to you, isn't it difficult to remember fa'ala, yufa'ilu, fa'il, taf'ilun, muf'ilun, muf'alu? Difficult. Best thing is to just take one example, whichever you like most. So, for example, maybe just remember darrasa, where every time you see darrasa, ra has got a shadda, tra, you will, if you read this few times, any new verb will come like that. You will just be very quick in making the tasrifs. So darrasa, he taught. Yudarrisu, he is teaching. Darris, you teach. Tadris is the verbal noun, which is masdar, means the action of learning or teaching. So basically, it's about something to do with learning. What is the teacher called? Mudarrisun. And what is the one who has been taught is called Mudarrisun. But look, what is the title? Ismul Fa'il and Ismul Maf'ul. What's happening? Mudarrisun, We have studied that we add alif after the fa kalima. In the case of kataba, katibun, khalaqa, khaliqun, qatala, qatilun. Why there is no alif and it's ismul fa'il? And before I explain, for ismul maf'ul, we have studied that we add meme in the beginning, waw as the second last letter. So kataba was our verb, ismul maf'ul will become maktubun. Qatala is our word, ismul maf'ul will become maktubun. Why is this? Why here we don't have any wow? So here is the learning. This is something we will deal in the next chapter. So let me give you some information. Ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul are made in two ways. If you have a verb which has got three letters only, then you will add alif as the second letter to make it ismul fa'il. Example, kataba, add alif as a second letter. Katibun. Qatala, add alif as a second letter. Qatilun. On the other hand, ismul maf'ul is made by adding meme in the beginning and waw as the second last letter. Example, qatala maqtulun. Kataba maktubun. But this formula of alif for ismul fa'il and meme and waw for ismul maf'ul is restricted to the verbs which has got only three letters. If you have a verb which has got more than three letters, if it's mazid fi, for example here, darrasa, then what will you do is for ismul fa'il, what you do is you will add meme to your mudare. First of all, yudarrisu, you will change this ya to meme. You see here, mudarrisu, there's no ya. Instead of ya, meme is coming. And on the second last letter, you will put a kasra. It is very simple, very easy. Mudarrisun. How will you make ismul maf'ul? You will bring the same word mudarrisun here. The only change you will make is second last letter, instead of the kasra, it will get a fatha. It will become mudarrasun. If you look another example, nazzala, yunazzilu, nazzil, tanzilun. Munazzilun, munazzalun. Kassara, yukassiru, kassir, taksirun, jama taksir. Remember, mukassirun, mukassarun. So this is the tasrif. You can have many different verbs like that. For example, sarrafa, sarrafa, yusarrifu, tasrifan. Kallama, yukallimu, takliman. There are so many verbs like that. One other thing which I would like to add here is when I told you earlier that it is sometimes difficult to remember by the numbers, form 2, form 3, form 4. It's very easy to make a mistake. What's the other best way? The best way is to remember the pattern of masdar. So this form 2 is also referred as bab taf'il. You know the bab, the chapter we have studied, nasara, daraba, fataha, noon, dad, fa. That's bab, that's chapter, right? So either you call it bab taf'il or you simply remember it by taf'il. Just tell in your mind any masdar which is coming on the pattern of taf'ilun, it would mean that the original verb has got two identical letters. So taf'ilun has got fa'ala. Tadrisun is on the pattern of taf'ilun. Is it? Taf'ilun, tadrisun is the same. What is the original verb? Darrasa. Tanzilun is on the pattern of taf'ilun. How does the verb look like in Madi? Second letter is repeated, nazzala. Tasbihun is on the pattern of sabbaha, is coming from sabbaha. Taqdirun, the verb is on the pattern of qaddara. Taksirun, the verb is on the pattern of kassara. I wanted to do more, as I said to you in the beginning, to attend Form 3 as well, but I think it is too much. The type of the messages being received shows that you all have actually, you're tired now. So let me quickly revise it. This is the third or fourth time revision I'm doing for the same thing, hoping that inshallah you will get it clearly, and then we will end the class. So we'll not go into the lesson. Lesson was very easy. This is also easy, but this is just a new information. So what is the derived forms of the verb? Verbs can be made up of 3 root letters or 4 root letters. If you add one extra letter to the verb, that verb is called mazid fihi. What does it do? This extra letter most of the time do not remove the root meaning, rather it adds something to the meaning or change its shape. So what are the verb forms? These ones, these normal verbs which we have studied before, nazala, darasa, qatala, kasara, sabaha, these are called form 1. These are called form 1 or verb type 1. So today we have only seen verb type 2, and I only want you to remember this. If you want to forget every other expression is fine. Just remember that the form 2 verb will have second letter repeated. Ain kalima has been added, and by changing of this ain kalima, the meaning sometimes drastically changes. So for example, darasa, which means he learned, darrasa will become he taught. Qatala, he killed. Qatala, intensity added, massacred. Kasara, he broke, but you say seen with the shadda, kasara, it means he smashed. So this type of the verb, which has got ain kalima doubled, is called form 2, or it could be called bab fa'ala. You remember it by the name of the verb itself, or you can remember it by the name of its masdar, and you say the masdar is on the pattern of taf'ilun. Taf'ilun. Is everybody with me, sisters? Did you all understand? Believe me, I was really scared that it may be difficult for you. That's why I took so long to go into these verbs, but now it's a high time that we start touching them, because we see every chapter one or two verbs are like this are coming, and we could have maybe still got away with that by skipping those for some other time. But the thing is, the next chapter you will see ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul on the pattern of maf'ilun and muf'alun. So basically you will see on the pattern where ismul fa'il will be made by adding meme in the beginning and kasra as the second last letter, and ismul maf'ul will be made by adding meme in the beginning and fatha on the last letter. Because you are going to see that, inshallah. It's good that you have got an idea, those who didn't have the idea, that you have got an idea how does the verbs of mazidun fihi or derived verbs looks like. Now when you will read the next chapter, inshallah, and you will see ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul, how are they made, you will not have any confusion. With this, if there's nothing else, then inshallah we'll end the class. Apologies. Today's lesson was a little bit iffy. I understand that, but you will have the recording. Hopefully, you all will be able to catch up if you will look it few times. And I'm sure many of you already have an idea about these things, so you must have felt it was easy and not difficult. But for those who found it difficult, please accept my apology. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of us. If you have any questions, please feel free to post in Telegram, and I will try to help. And I'm sure other sisters will also help those students who are having maybe a bit of still little weaker understanding. So with that, if there's nothing else, inshallah, we'll end the class. And sisters, please don't forget to come in the habit of giving thumbs up and reactions to WhatsApp. I hope all of you understand that it is really, really important for us to do the things which are needed to be done in certain way. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Please try to support admins, try to support Ulum Academy with your donations, with your thumbs up, with your du'as, which are very, very precious. And the most important thing, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.